What's up, everybody?
My name is Anthony Irvin.
You beat yourself?
Yeah,
Yeah, CB myself.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm Jim Green.
Don't even need a hit of traffic light.
Okay, good.
Welcome to
One set.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the One Set Podcast. My name is Anthony Irvin, and hey, we got Jim back. What's up, Jim?
Hey, how we doing? And thank you so much for covering for me last week.
Absolutely, brother.
That was legitimately, you and I were full blown ready to do the podcast. We were scheduled for it. At least I was like, yeah, I'm good. I was up and awake that morning. And when I say up, I mean I was just awake. And then I fell back to sleep and was like, well, he must have passed back out and I'm going to handle this one.
Well, I guess we kind of had a couple of miscommunications. Like I said, we were both kind of ready to do it, but then, you were up and then you passed out. I ended up being up to, get the kids up and ready for school. And then I went to text you, didn't hear from you. And we always say, like, give the 10, 15 minute rule. We don't hear anything. We're like, okay, either you passed out or something's going on. So yeah. I'm like, well, I have stuff to also do today. I had a show last week, so I'm like, I don't want to get too far into the day because I still got to pack up and everything. So I'm like, let me just bang out this episode, get this out of the way. And God forbid if we do, we can always run something later. But yeah, I just got that in last week. But glad to have you back, man.
And I have to say, you had quite a bit to talk about between the Eagles and the Phillies, and I will just weigh in.
Yeah,
quickly.
Yeah.
Before we get on to today's topic, and I've had time to digest this whole Phillies thing.
Because like I was saying last week, I mean, we didn't really talk any Phillies this year because we were all expecting it to be, okay, this is the year where they, do something. We went out of the playoffs in the first round, so they have to do something better this year. But then, we just get upset this year.
We've been saying the same for years, dude. So I will say for China and I first got together, and it's almost been, it'll be 5 years in April.
Yay. Claps.
Clappy claps. But it was really Phillies and Sixers basketball when we first got together that we were like really into. And the Phillies were, when we go back to 2021, 2022, it was like when they were in the World Series, when they were in the conference. And then they've just been sliding out of this divisional round every year, and it's to the point where last year it was like, if they don't make big changes, we're not going to get big changes. They didn't make big changes. We didn't get big changes. Okay,
exactly.
So this whole last season, you're saying we didn't really talk Phillies this year. I mean, we would put on the games and watch, but we weren't like, we gotta watch the Phillies. We gotta watch the Phillies. Like, it wasn't something that like we prioritized, I guess you would say. And last year they went on this insane run early on in the season, and then they fell off at the end. And then this year it was like, they were just kind of even keel, and then they started hitting the hot streak in August. So it was kind of flipped around. But there were just red flags like that I was like, I'm not getting my hopes up. I'm not doing this to myself. And so I was like, if they get a good divisional round series, like where they just look dominant, I will have faith that they can thrive in the World Series.
Yeah. I mean, if they played how they played in that game 3 or game 4,
it was game 3. Yeah.
If they would have played they probably would have had a better chance of winning. It probably would have been like a game 5, 2-2. And we would have just been playing for the series. But, we were playing from behind. And then, I mean, Schwarber was the only one that hit the 2 home runs. So he was, but then game after that, nobody hit anything. So it's like, You know, it was horrible to see, like, you know, you're a professional baseball team and you can't hit a damn fastball. Like, and you're getting paid all that money.
Well,
it's like, and everybody has bad games, but still, it's like you shouldn't be going a full game without getting no results.
Right.
For it's not just one game, consecutive games. Like, they're just not hitting anything.
Yeah. It's, you know, with Zach Wheeler out.
Yeah, that didn't help.
That didn't help. But Christopher Sanchez was our next best guy. And the, you know, between Ranger Suarez and Aaron Nola had just came back, and it was like, all right, this guy's 50-50. He's on his way out kind of thing. And
he did pretty good in game 2.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he
for those 3 innings that he pitched.
For like the 2 innings that he did, I'm like, why are they bringing him out? He's actually doing not that bad, but then, you know,
they put Ranger in, and he was stellar, and I was like,
right.
And then Christopher Sanchez came in game 4 and was stellar. Like, the guy's a stud on the mound, and you know, at first, everyone talked about Orion Kerkering just botching the throw to home plate.
Yeah.
Which all he had to do was throw to first. There were 2 outs. You get the guy out at first. That run doesn't count. But in the moment with the pressure, he just acted, you know, he reacted the way that he did.
Yeah.
And
it's tough. I mean, it's easy to, you know, make fun of the situation and be argumentative about it. But at the end of the day, you know, you feel bad for him because it's like a mindset type of thing. Like, I knew, like, you know, that's the thing, you throw to first, but in game situations and you have like that amount of pressure, it's a lot of pressure. Yeah. So you understand it.
When we've been going back to this, you know, the bats are weak and the offense just isn't showing up the way that they need to, when we've been riding on that for as long as we have, you know, I'd say about 3 to 5 minutes after I was just processing and digesting that botched throw to home plate. Yeah. I was like, Orion Kerkering did not ruin the season for us. It was our hitting. Like, if our hitting was good, we would have never been in that pinch situation anyway. Right. Absolutely.
Because we were up. Like, I mean, we were only up 1 hit out of that whole game. But again, you know, we didn't hit for the rest of the game, so we just let them eventually get to the point where they had a situation where they were able to get back in the game. Like you said, if we had maybe another hit or 2, we probably could have sealed that game.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's tough. It's good to be, you know, up 1-0 in a baseball game, but it usually is not getting you out of the woods. Even at that game, the game 3, when before they went on that big 8-inning stretch where they got like 5 or 6 hits, it was still like 3-1, 3-2 or something, I think. So you're like, okay, they just need at least 1 or 2 more hits to seal it. But then they got all those, like, all right, yeah, it's definitely over. Even the people in the stands knew, like, okay, we're leaving. But, you know, so like being 1 or 2 hits ahead is, you know, it's still a little, you know, nail biting kind of thing. But once you're up about 3 to 4, then you're like, okay, then you're in a safer spot.
Yeah. After the fact, I mean, I haven't been listening to sports radio like that, but I did catch it on my way up to school yesterday, and Ben Davis was like, I think both JT Realmuto and Kyle Schwarber are gone. They're Schwarber is 33, JT's 35. They're just older, and they're high-paying guys. Ben Davis, if Ben Davis is confident that they're both gone, they're probably going.
I know Realmuto, he's going to be a free agent, right?
And Schwarber too. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, that's 9 times out of 10. That's, I mean, if they don't get paid, they're pretty much done.
Yeah, and then Dombrowski, who's like one of the owners, basically came out and said, I don't think Bryce Harper is gonna ever be back to what he was since I mean, I think he had surgery in the offseason this past year or the year, I don't know. But they dumped a big money bag contract on him, and he was supposed to be like the Phillies savior, and we were supposed to go on this dynasty run of like World Series this, World Series that, and just goes to show like your team can't be made up of just one superstar player. Like
nope.
So it's, and Ben was saying like you can expect to see big changes because they didn't make significant big changes after last season. They're gonna make big changes going into next year. Otherwise,
they gotta.
The fans are just gonna be like, we're just setting ourselves up for the same trip, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like someone like me that wasn't like a diehard Phillies fan as a kid or even in my early adult years.
Yeah.
That was invested, 3, 4, 5 years ago. Even 2 years ago, I was still pretty into it. But, someone like me that's like, I didn't prioritize it this year because they didn't make those big changes. If they didn't make big changes, it would be just more of the same. And
right.
Like I think I said maybe 10, 15 episodes ago, I paid to go to 3 games in the last year, and they lost all 3 of them. And it's not all about winning and losing, but it has something to do with it, right? Like if you were going to Sixers games 2-3 times a year and they were winning, one year they won 2 out of 3, the next year they won 1 out of 3, and then the next year they lost all 3 games, you would probably just say, I'm not going to the Sixers game anytime soon, right? So that's
exactly how my mindset is with the Sixers this year. It's like I just heard that Paul George isn't going to be playing the opener. He's probably going to be missing the first game or 2. And I'm like, cool, great start, because one of our, best starters is not going to be there. And then they're even saying right now that Joel's probably not going to play. Now, again, this is a preseason game. Nobody cares about preseason, but they're saying like, well, he's probably not going to play the last preseason game. And he's still, we're hoping that he's going to be ready for the opener for the season. I'm like, great. This is going to be starting off great. That still having a mindset of like, oh, wondering if he's going to play or not. Like I'm at a point where it's like, there's no point of investing into this season, and then they're trying to sell us
be more of the same.
Yeah. And then they're trying to sell us with, oh, celebrate with us the 25th anniversary of the 2001 season. Like, yeah, that's when we were the best out of the time, and we're never going to get back there. The only thing that's great about it is hip hop's coming back, I mean, I'm stoked about that, but I'm not stoked about actually seeing the guys play. So
they're bringing hip hop back, everyone.
Yeah. So, and that's a real thing.
I know we're talking about.
I'm actually pretty stoked about that. But it's like, I think the organization they know the fans are pissed, so they're trying everything to do to keep them in those seats.
Yeah, but it all comes down to like the morale of the team. Is Nick Nurse still coaching?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But that guy took that, and I've said this on here before. That guy took that job with a hand in front of him. So it's really tough to knock the guy when it's all about like what the F is going on with these players here.
Mm-hmm. And I think on the sports radio, they were saying like, when in those type of blame game situations, a lot of people blame the coaches, but 9 times out of 10, they need to start blaming the players for that, because, the coaches can only do so much, but it's the players that are putting out the performance. So, it's when they're talking about Rob Thompson a lot, it's one thing with the head coach for baseball, but if your players are not hitting, that's not always a coach's fault. It's either your players are not in the focused mindset, or they're in a rut or something. But
well, and they steer that back to management and the coaching staff, and they say, what are the coaches doing to get these guys out of this rut and to get them refocused? And I was listening to someone, I guess someone on sports radio was like, when you have like hitting coaches, but you're dealing with these players that are however many years into their professional career. They're not going to tell them what to do and what not to do at the plate. Those guys are going to approach the plate how they approach the plate.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, so what they're paying them for your new guys that are coming up out of the minor leagues, like to basically just help them get settled in the Major League Baseball. Like,
right. I mean, it's you're not going to tell a veteran how to hit the ball when, you know, he's been in the league for X amount of years. Like, dude, I know what to do. But then, like, you're seeing their stats, like, it's obvious you don't know what you're doing. So you need to either go back to the basics or you need to be, you know, retrained on how to do something, because what you're doing is not working.
Yeah.
So and it could just be an ego thing too, that, you know, hey, I'm a veteran, I know what I'm doing.
It's definitely part of it.
So again, it comes back to the point that I was saying, like, I think they need to really start putting in their contracts, have some type of a thing in there about, you know, your contract being based off performance to some extent.
Yeah, some provisions, right?
Like they need, like, again, if I was getting paid a Bryce Harper contract and I didn't have to worry about, you know, if I have a bad game or a bad season, I know I'm still getting the same amount of money, I wouldn't care either.
Yeah.
You know, but they need to put not the whole contract, because that, again, that's, you know, a little, you know, per se, but they need to have some type of way in there that, you know, your contract has some type of performance based thing on there, where if you are not going up to your a certain amount of potential, you know, your price is going to be affected, you know, because we're putting a lot of trust into you and putting this money into you
to perform your job
and get us to X level. But if you're not, why should we keep paying you this money? You know?
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's the way that it works out in the real world, right?
Thank you. Saying, like, you know, in a regular job, you know, not a lot of money is guaranteed. You know, it's based off your performance, just like anything. A contract for a 9-to-5 job, you know, you're not guaranteed. Like for me, like the job I just had, you're not guaranteed always to be picked up by the company, but a lot of it is based off your performance. If I went in there and just was mediocre and kind of just was lazy, they're not going to pick me up. You know, it's not guaranteed. Same thing for sports. You know, if you're just going in there and just doing the job, just like a Ben Simmons, why the hell they keep having him in the league when he is obvious that he's not caring about the game? He's just in it for the money. But, you know, they just don't have a portion of those contracts where, you know, something in those contracts need to be putting in there. You know, your contract can be adjusted based off performance. Yeah. You know? And it's not 100% on your performance. Like, it's not, you have to be at your full potential. But if we can see you're underperforming for, you know, a year or years out of end, you know, you're going to be expected to have some type of adjustment on your contract, because we're not going to be paying you just to, you know, go to practice and shoot around. We want you to be in those games and putting up big numbers for us, because we bought you into this league for that reason. You know, if you're a guy that's known for hitting X amount of home runs in a season, but you're only producing half of that, and we paid you to do 90%, but then you're hitting at 70%, we shouldn't be paying you at 90%.
Yeah. So this is where no cap in baseball, like there's no money cap.
Yeah.
That's where this plays in, because in football, where you have your caps, these people are like, okay, well, this guy's underperforming for what we're paying him, and we could pay more money for someone else if we got rid of them.
And that's probably why a lot of those players, like, they're always, like, fans are always saying, dude, pay this guy.
Yeah.
And when, like, it's like how Dak Prescott was. He wasn't, you know, getting paid the money he was at first, but, you know, he, sad to say this, but he probably was expecting playing like he should be getting paid because he was putting up the numbers, but, you know, he wasn't getting paid the number. He just got paid, you know? So, that a lot of sports should be based off that, you know, but I think it would just be triggering to a lot of performers at that point. But it has to do something, because if your top guys on any team are not performing, it's going to make everybody else, underperform, because those guys should be the leaders of those teams, knowing that, hey, if we're having a bad game, I know one of my top guys is going to get us out of this, and he's going to put on a show for us to get us out of this game. If you're not having a guy that on that team, if you don't have that, I guess this may not be all the best example, but if you have a guy like a Michael Jordan and a Kobe Bryant that you can rely on at the end of the game to have those clutch game wins, that sets up a lot of things for a lot of those players to be like, if he's acting like this, I need to get on that level too. You need those guys in there to be motivating the other guys to be playing at their full potential. It can't always come from the coaches. It can't always come from the guys that are, the batting guys. It has to come from the players to, try to be at their best. And even if they're not playing at their best, they need the guys under them to be motivating those guys to be playing better too. But if you don't have that step-in leader, it's never going to come.
Well, and they were banking literally on Bryce Harper being that guy that was putting up like Babe Ruth numbers. And then it wound up being Kyle Schwarber this past season with the amount of work. He was the one guy that we watched and said, and they're talking about getting rid of this guy. Like, I know they're talking about getting rid of JT and Schwarber, and it's like, what you're missing without those guys is going to be hard to fill, to replace. JT, I get it at the plate. He's not super stellar, but he is the best catcher in baseball, in my opinion. I know that, a little biased because Phillies fan, but what the guy does when it comes to getting people out at home plate and getting people out at second when they're trying to steal. Yeah. There's not a lot of catchers that are as quick to react as JT like that. And like both, I think last season Schwarber started showing some promise, and then this season for me, he like really just was on another level. The big ones, like without Schwarber, you need Bryce Harper and you need Trey Turner to step up these big high paying guys to put up numbers that make sense for what they're getting paid, and that's what everyone's talking about, right?
Especially being a Bryce Harper, you're one of the faces or the main face of the company, and you're underperforming.
Well, and everyone's like, "Oh, this guy's going to light it up in the postseason." I'm like, what if the postseason's only 4 games long, which it was, and he didn't really do much. Like
he didn't.
I'm just.
It's tough to,
we are, Cheyenne and I are over the Bryce Harper hype because the guy just hasn't been doing what we all expected him to do, right?
Exactly. That's why, again, a lot of people are over Embiid because, they expected him to be this, big guy. But, when he's on, he's on. But when he's off, he is just not there. And, even this season, this coming season, he's coming off the injury. He's coming off the surgery. He's been playing without a brace. So people are like, oh, well, it's kind of weird to see him without a brace, but it seems like he's, doing pretty well. I'm like, I'll believe it when I see it, because
there's got to be consistency, right?
Yeah,
and I think for me it was when he was putting up. When did he put up like the 70 points in a game? I feel like that was like the last time that we were like Embiid is on another level. Like we were raving about the guy, and I think that was around. That was also around when he got the MVP, right? Like I think,
yeah. But then again, just underperformed in the playoffs. And that's like your biggest thing in sports, that, the regular season is the regular season, but it's a different type of mindset when you go into the playoffs. And it's a different type of basketball game. It's a different type of baseball. It's a different type of football when you're playing because not even just like the do or die mentality, but, guys that are, essential, and they know they flip into a different, mode when it comes into playoffs. Yeah. So, for Phillies, the one year it's, they hit their peak mainly in like the spring, summer, but then, they really fell off in October, where this year I felt they were really starting to peak at the end of August into September. So people were like, well, good, they're going on a run. Maybe this is going to be different this year. This is what we need. They're peaking at the right time. Then they go, 4 or 5 games and they're out.
Well, so there's also they secured the bye with the Brewers where they didn't have to play for a week. And
which was, good, but also they're saying it could have been bad because they were out of it for a week. But again, that shouldn't really, disturb you. It's not like they were off for 2. 1 week of being out of a rhythm, it's one thing. It could have probably affected them, but you would think they would have got back into it after a game 1. Like, okay, they've been off for a week. Usually in the same thing for basketball. If a team gets done their series, pretty early, but then they're waiting for the next team and it might be a week or 2, they might be a little rusty in that first game because they've been off of their routine for a certain amount of time. But then they kind of get back to it in the second game because they're like, okay, played the first game, we're back into our rhythm. But, it seemed the Phillies just never got into a rhythm.
Yep.
And,
they were banking on the bye, being
to get them closer to the World Series.
Well, being an opportunity for them to rest and be healthy for the rest of the postseason. But they weren't able to lock. They weren't able to lock in, and they wound up playing the defending World Series champions from last year in the Dodgers, who have a star-studded lineup. Like it's, I get the rest part, but at the same time, probably too much rest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In football, they have 2 weeks, right? They have 2 weeks between the end of the conference, and to me, it's like that feels long. It worked in the Eagles' favor because the Chiefs just didn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, the Chiefs are still just sitting at 500. And we're saying this on we're saying this on the Friday before Week 7 takes off, so they're sitting at 3-3 right now.
So I mean, both the teams that were in the Super Bowl last year are kind of struggling right now. I mean, like I said last week, 4-2 is not bad because at Week 6, I think we were 4-2 of the same thing because we lost 2 and 1-2 in between the first 4 games, and then we started going on that undefeated streak. So we were 4-2 in the same time. So 4-2 is not bad. It's just the way it's more the way we've been playing. We don't look like a 4-2 team.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we should have easily been 5-1 at this point, but I'll still take it to the refs at that last point with that pass interference. But 4-2 is still not bad. But we need to start clicking that offense and our defense, offense. We're banged up, so we have a lot of injuries that are really hurting us in our play stead. But our offense should not be playing the way they're playing right now.
Yeah,
we need to turn it up, and we need to kick ourselves into that. Whatever we got to do to win a game is what we got to do. It's one thing when you have guys that are like, oh, I'm not getting enough touches, feed me the ball. I mean, it's one. Yeah, AJ should be getting a lot of touches. He's a prime dude, but if our mindset is, feeding Saquon more times and then if he's being held back, we have AJ and Devontae to really help us out. That should be our first thing. Because if it's going to help our quarterback, win games more, you play to your strengths, and that's more the strength of how Jalen was able to play. But we know when Jalen can turn it up and really start being a pass-heavy person, we know he can do it. But it's like when you take your game plan and try to change it when you've been winning so much, you got to get back to the point of getting back to the same mindset that was winning you games in the first 4 games.
Yeah, I think the one thing that I didn't really think about was the fact that we do have a new offensive coordinator, right? Like Kellen Moore is the head coach down at the Saints, which he's got his hands full, right? So this Kevin Patullo.
He's still very up in the air with how he's been, working this offense. And I think it's just going to be the rest of the season. He's going to be on a very, tight knit rope on how he's, conducting this offense. And it really depends on again, how the rest of the season goes and how we go into the playoffs.
So, so we have the Vikings this weekend and the Giants again next weekend. Giants are hitting their stride, which
they're puffing their chest out with that win.
Yeah. So you and I need to be on track for our picks for 6-2 going into the bye. They need to win the next two.
Yes.
And we are playing teams that are not terrible teams at that.
Right.
And we looked at the Giants twice and we're like, we should be winning both those games. And then we lost by 17.
Yeah.
In the first one.
I'm still in awe about, like, it's one thing losing them, but losing by 17 points.
Yeah.
Like, we haven't lost that bad since what was like the 22-23 season when it was like the end of the season and we just had that tank type of season where we just were horrible. And I think it was another, like, the Giants put up like 33 points, but I think we just got blown out by them.
Yeah.
So we haven't had that type of bad Giants game since then. But again, they need to turn it up. Hopefully this is like that same situation from last year where they got a bad loss and like, okay, we need to turn this up. So we need to go back to what we were doing, what was working, and get this stuff under control.
Yeah. Or it's
going to be a long rest of the season.
Or they go into the bye and they figure it out like they did last year, and then they come out of the bye and they start playing the way that we all know that they can play, right?
Yeah.
So
So we'll see what happens on Sunday for sure. We'll see if anything has came out of the last two games and they actually switch some things up to really get back on track. Because I think the Vikings defense is nothing really to play around with either. I mean, we always have some pretty decent games with the Vikings. So, and is Carson Wentz playing or is he not? I'm not sure. I'll have to look that up.
I remember the Vikings playing the Steelers, and they timed it out that JJ McCarthy will be out for X amount of weeks. And I'm looking and I'm like, all right, he will probably be back for the Eagles game. I'm not sure if JJ McCarthy's back or if it's still Carson Wentz.
Yeah, we'll have to see. That probably won't be a thing until game time, whether if he's going to come back or if Carson Wentz is going to be on the QB side. It'll be nice because I don't think we did have. I think it was the Colts game where he was playing the Eagles and he did have that come back to the link and Carson was playing the Eagles or no, it was the Washington Commanders. He was on the Washington Commanders at that point. So we did have Carson Wentz playing the Eagles type of game, but it'll be nice. I think Carson's in a different place at this point. I think he's having a better mindset now. Definitely not back to what he was on the Eagles, but I think he's playing a little bit better now.
So the Steelers Vikings game in Ireland, he looked all right, and then he blew the game at the end in the last minute and a half. So apparently Carson Wentz fully practices again on Thursday, yesterday, and JJ McCarthy is still limited. So it looks like we're going to have Carson Wentz. Yeah,
looks like we'll have some Wentz against the Eagles, which will be nice. I mean, I'll definitely be looking forward to it because,
it'll be interesting. They are playing. They are playing in Minnesota rather than Carson Wentz doesn't have to play in the link. So
yeah, that too. So he'll definitely be on home ground, which will probably boost his morale a little bit. At least he doesn't have to be playing for a bunch of screaming Philly fans. But Philly fans are always going to show up wherever the Phillies are. The Philly fans are always going to end up showing up wherever the Eagles go.
Yep.
So he's not fully out of the leg with that. But yeah, it'll at least him playing in Vikings territory will be good for him. But hopefully the Eagles can pull out a win with this and get back on track.
I will say it will be a tight game if the Eagles are going to win this one.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely assume it being a tight game, but hopefully not coming down to a nail biter like we've been dealing with this whole season. It'll be nice it'll be nice to have 1 week where we don't have to be going into like the last 5 minutes and be like, dude, okay, they just need to do this and just ice the game and let this game be done. Like it's always down to like those last the 2-minute drill that we have to be going down the field and like scoring at least a touchdown or a field goal. Hopefully it's just to the point where we get it, we have a touchdown, we hold the ball for the last like couple minutes and we just have to ice the clock. That'd be nice.
Yeah, I mean, they just had the Unk Bowl last night, which I know you didn't catch. I saw most of the first half, and then I needed a knockout and just catch up on sleep. But I woke up this morning and read that the Bengals won off of a field goal in the final seconds of the game. So
there have been a lot of games like that this year where it came down to a field goal or a blocked field goal per se, that either a field goal has been winning the games or, just like Eagles and, I think it was the Jets that one week, it was like 2 or 3 games where field goals had gotten blocked and it cost the game. So the field goal kickers have been having an excellent year so far.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to see Elliott back on track because he was scaring us last year. It's great to see Elliott back on track this year.
He was starting to fall off a bit there.
Yeah, he was getting scary.
So let's just talk about the playoff picture in football right now.
Let's do it.
And then we'll wrap it up because I saw this on the Pat McAfee show and I was like,
nice.
This looks bizarre to me. Yeah, I'm just going to send you... I'll just send you the link so you can look at it.
Yeah.
While we talk about it. Just popped in my head. The Patriots, Drake May is doing something. Which is weird because we've known the Patriots to be kind of weak.
Yeah.
Since Brady left.
So, it's kind of cool to see the Patriots, back to their stride a little bit. But, are we playing the Patriots? I think we're playing the Patriots this season, or is that?
I don't think we. Or
I might be.
No, I think you're right. I think we just.
I think we play them later in the season.
No Patriots on our lineup.
No Patriots. Okay.
Mm-mm. But we usually always play them at some point.
Yeah.
All right, you got that.
Yeah, I got it pulled up here.
All right, we'll start with the AFC side. Not that we're too in tune with the AFC because it doesn't concern the Eagles. Pat McAfee said going into the season that the Colts were going to be winning the Super Bowl, and I was like, what? And they are currently sitting at number 1 in the AFC side, the only team at 5-1 in the American League. I haven't gotten to watch the Colts play to see how dominant that they are, but the numbers say it.
Right.
Pat McAfee has some bias considering he used to play for Indy. He lives in Indy.
Of course. Yeah.
Of course. You got the Chargers in second and the Steelers in third. Now, the Steelers dropped to the 3rd seed just after last night's game. They were sitting at the 2nd seed, which was just wild to me. The Chargers are fairly good, which I know that the Eagles do play later on in the season. Patriots at 4th seed. Like I just said, Drake May, they're doing something up there. The Bills at the 5th seed. And again, you're talking your 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th seed, and 6th seed, and 7th seed. They're all at 4-2. Like the records are all 4-2.
Yeah, for all the even on the other side, the NFC, you got 3rd all the way down to the 7th, 4-2. So 4-2 is the hottest record of the season so far. So this week coming up, it's going to be a lot of changes.
Yeah, I'm curious, I guess, why the Packers are the 2nd seed and they're 3-1-1.
Yeah. It probably comes down to maybe their division record or probably home games that they've won, probably. I know that's usually I would think usually that comes down to either division or something within their record that they've done better with some of these other teams. But yeah, it is odd to see a 3-1-1 being higher than a 4-2.
Yeah.
But
the Bucs are sitting at the 1st seed. Bucs are sitting at the 1st seed for the NFC side, and their only losses to the Eagles. So they have good things going on. They are generally in the playoffs, so it's just a matter of when they get there, can they capitalize, right? The Packers can be good. The Niners, Who is it's Daniel Jones is the Niners quarterback right now.
Yeah, because the other guys,
Brock Purdy's out.
He's out right now. Mm-hmm.
They're still sitting 4-2. We'll see. Eagles get it together. Seahawks, they can be good, but
it's crazy to see the Seahawks in here because they haven't been really relevant since Russell Wilson left either.
When Russ was good, right?
Right. I'm just thinking back. They put Russell Wilson in that Giants game for one play, and he just flopped the thing. And the coach was like, "Get the fuck this guy out of the fucking game." He went into Daniel Jones' tent. He's like, "Can you get back in this game so this dude doesn't lose this game for us?" He just put the ball into the dirt, and the coach was like, "Dude, I don't care if this guy has a concussion. He's playing. Russell Wilson needs to get out of this game."
Yeah.
It was so funny. I've never seen the coach react that fast. He's like, "Dude, we need to get Russell Wilson out of this damn game here."
The Lions in the 6th seed. That again, it is like Dan Campbell is navigating 2 new coordinators. The team is navigating 2 coordinators. I mean, they have Jared Goff is good. Their offense is pretty all right, but their defense, their defense used to be pretty good, but they were banged up all last season was kind of the hold up there, right?
Yeah. A lot of people are saying the Rams are kind of like in the back shadow of what they used to be because they were a really big defending team, but now it seems like they're a shadow of what they used to be.
I think Matthew Stafford is still stellar. Like
I still think they're a team to watch out for no matter what.
Definitely.
Because they're one of those teams that, they may not have a great regular season, but they are one of those people that turn it up in the playoffs, and they can be an upsetting team that can, just devour a team that you would expect to win, but the Rams will come and just eat them up. So I'm still always, looking out for the Rams to, have that underdog type thing, and they just sneak their way into the playoffs and get pretty far. But yeah, I would definitely be watching out for the Rams and even the Lions. The Lions are still struggling this year too, and so they're gonna. I'm not sure how their next couple games are going, but they play the Bucs this week, so it'll be interesting if they can knock off the Bucs and make them 5-2.
That would certainly give them momentum going forward.
Definitely,
and knock the Bucs down a peg. That'd be
for
good.
sure. So yeah, there's a lot of games this week that can definitely make this list a lot more interesting. Since we have most of these teams setting at 4-2, it's going to bump a lot of people into 4-2 or 4-3. So it's definitely going to shift a lot of these things after this week. So it'll be interesting how this thing, if they keep this one up for after this week 7, how this thing will look after. So that'll be nice.
Yeah, and you got your teams in the 8th, 9th, and 10th seed that are just missing that top 7 that could get on a run and slide in while other people start falling off, right?
Yeah.
The Falcons just beat the Bills on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's crazy just to see the Chiefs in this list, though. But yeah, I really think that Eagles game messed their mentality up.
Yeah,
whether they like to think it or not, I think they really got screwed up from that Eagles game.
From the Super Bowl,
from the Super Bowl,
yeah, yep. Which definitely feels like we knocked off the giant, right? Like
exactly, yeah.
We slayed the beast. That was Brock Lesnar, right?
Mm-hmm.
We'll get into wrestling talk a different day, a different episode. There's stuff to talk about, but there's stuff up in the air with Seth Rollins that we're going to wait to see how that kind of unfolds.
Yeah, for sure,
I'm ready for the Braun Breaker push. But that being said, Anth, anything else before we wrap this one up?
Dude, I'm good. Let's see how this week 7 goes. It seems like it's going to be a lot of good games. I think this is going to be a turning point for a lot of these teams, and we're getting into just about halfway through the season. So again, a lot of these teams need to start turning it up, especially our Eagles. So hopefully we pull out a win, and because we definitely need a good win to get us out of this rut. So other than that, yeah, guys, this has been One Set. Make sure you guys are checking us out, like always, at the handle of One Set Pod on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and right here on YouTube. Make sure you're hitting that notification bell to get notified when we upload. And Jim, like always, let everybody know where they can hang out with us outside of our episodes.
That is the Facebook group One Set Fam. That's the number One Set Fam on Facebook. Come hang out with Anthony and I in the post and in the post thread, in the discussion thread. Anthony,
These are
love you, brother. Good to be back.
you too, man.
Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
This has been One Set.